It was just a smile, not the kind meant to provoke, not flirty, not rehearsed. Just two women, worn thin by life, still decent enough to share a fleeting, genuine moment of lightness under the Georgia sun. Emily Hart had just finished chasing her Labrador, Rusty, away from tipping over the neighborhood mailboxes for the third time that week. Her coffee had spilled, her leggings were covered in grass, and she looked every bit like someone surviving, not thriving. Across from her stood Sarah Wells, barefoot, still in pajama pants, sunglasses hiding the remnants of a long night's tears, clutching a rolled-up interior design magazine like a lifeline. Neither had planned to speak, but when Nathan Brooks, the new guy on the block, passed by, wheeling a smoker large enough for a county fair, Emily chuckled. "All that for some ribs?" Sarah smirked. "Must be feeding half the state." Nathan laughed. "Guilty." That was a simple exchange, a chuckle. Then they each returned to their morning routine. Nothing rude, nothing disruptive, no loitering, trespassing, or arguing. But this was Briarwood Heights, a suburb governed by one of the most rigid and aggressively enforced HOAs in the state. Here, rules weren't guidelines, they were commandments. At the head of this suburban monarchy was the HOA president, Evelyn Carver. The next morning, certified letters landed on Emily and Sarah's doorsteps. At first, Emily thought it was a mistake, a bizarre prank, or some exaggerated HOA nonsense. The glossy letter looked almost satirical. Sarah sent a photo of hers via text moments later. "WTF is Section 4.2? Did you get this too?" Emily opened hers again. "Notice of violation, Section 4.2. Engagement in unsanctioned excessive social interaction with fellow residents without prior HOA clearance. Incident recorded April 3rd, 8:14 a.m. They didn't know the mailbox was monitored. They didn't know someone had filed a formal complaint within minutes. They didn't know a shared smile and joke would be interpreted as a breach of community decorum. At the next HOA board meeting, the women intended to protest, maybe bring coffee, maybe even a lawyer. What happened instead turned their lives upside down. The meeting was held at the clubhouse, mahogany chairs, dusty lemonade, printed agendas on thick cream paper. Half the room was filled with retirees, the other half silent spectators. At precisely 6 p.m., Evelyn Carver entered like a monarch in court pearl necklace, white blouse, matching clipboard. "We are here to address the violation of Article 4.2, she said, "and to discuss corrective actions for the sake of community order." Emily stood. This is over a smile and a joke. Evelyn remained unflinching. "To preserve the harmony of Briarwood Heights, violators will undergo corrective standing. 3 hours, hands symbolically bound, signage required." Stunned silence followed. They were ordered to appear the following Saturday on the HOA lawn at 9 a.m., wrists duct-taped, signs around their necks reading, "I disrupted community order." Neighbors walked by. Some whispered, a few recorded. One boy rode by and spilled a slushie at Emily's feet. They stood under the sun, sweat pouring, skin burning, the duct tape tugging uncomfortably. Evelyn watched, clipboard in hand. But this act of public shaming was not the end, it was the spark. A teenager posted a blurry video, captioned, "My HOA did this to 2 moms for smiling." Within 24 hours, it was viral. Smile and punished, duct tape justice, HOA abuse. The internet raged. Emily lost her job at the bakery, too much attention, her boss said. Sarah's daughter, Lily, came home crying after kids teased her at school. They couldn't escape it. Then came the email. Subject, legal inquiry, possible civil rights violation. It was from Clara Mendoza, a retired federal prosecutor with a reputation for taking down civil rights violators. Emily's hands trembled. "What they did to you isn't just absurd," Clara wrote. "It's unconstitutional. I'd like to talk about filing suit under 42 U.S.C. Section 1983. 3 days later, Clara sat across from the women in a small diner, her suit wrinkled, her voice calm but fiery. "They used public shaming as punishment," she said. "They bypassed due process. That's a federal violation. You were made examples, but you don't have to stay silent." The lawsuit was filed. Then came the leak, an anonymous email with an attachment, internal HOA emails. One read, "If they're allowed to socialize, what's next? Petitions? Protests? Make them examples. Humiliation works." The evidence was damning. Clara presented it in court. The footage played. The silence in the courtroom was thick. Even the judge, Honorable Ruth Ellison, removed her glasses and stared at the screen in disbelief. Evelyn Carver testified, defiant, controlled. "It was about order," she said. Clara asked, "Do you believe public shaming is an acceptable form of governance?" Evelyn paused. "It depends on context." That pause echoed louder than any answer. The verdict, in favor of Emily Hart and Sarah Wells. $1.2 million awarded. HOA bylaws ordered for reform. Evelyn Carver permanently banned from any public or HOA leadership role nationwide. They didn't stop there. The women founded the Homeowner Freedom Network, legal aid, mental health support, policy advocacy. Their tagline, "Private isn't above the law." Stories poured in. A veteran fined for his flag, a wheelchair ramp removed for aesthetics, a woman stalked with cameras by her HOA president. They became voices for the voiceless. A documentary followed, then a best-selling memoir, congressional hearings, and, finally, real change. Clara returned to her quiet life. She never wanted the spotlight, but when she was awarded the Civil Liberties Defender Medal, she said, "Justice isn't about noise. It's about consistency. And sometimes, it starts with a smile." Today, the Briarwood Heights lawn is a symbol not of shame, but of freedom. The sign that once read, "I disrupted community order," is now printed on t-shirts, a joke, a movement, a reminder that a smile is never a crime.